removed, I think we can see each other, or those that choose to be seen. So, as I think I mention every year, this really does remain our favorite time of the year, and we thank you for joining us on Zoom today. Before we go any further, I would like to acknowledge that we're gathering today on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Comox First Nation, caretakers of the land of plenty since time immemorial, and on whose lands we have the privilege to work and call home. We acknowledge the harm of the past and are thankful and humbled by the generosity extended by the Comox peoples, and we commit to learning, understanding, and moving forward in good faith and truth towards reconciliation. A few housekeeping items first. We're asking from this point on that all guests keep their microphones and videos turned off, as it does help with audio and visual quality. If you need any support or questions, or have any questions, please pop them in the chat, which is on the bottom bar of your Zoom window. And we would recommend the speaker view, which you can set from the very top right corner of your Zoom window. If you go to the very top, you'll see a little thing that says view. And if you click on that, you can choose speaker or gallery. And we're recommending speaker for today.
What am I looking, sorry, which view you said?
Yeah.
Meeting settings.
Yeah.
Disconnect audio, whiteboards, minimize meeting, show captions, chat.
There we go. So I will now be inviting our federal and provincial representatives and our local mayors to offer greetings and express their appreciation. We'll now play a short video from Gord Johns, Member of Parliament for Courtenay, Alberni.
Hi everybody, it's Gord Johns, Member of Parliament, bringing greetings from the territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. And I want to say hi to everybody in the Comox territory. And I want to thank the Comox Valley Community Foundation for such important work in recognizing and supporting the work of local charities and nonprofit organizations through its community enrichment grants. And congratulations to all the successful applicants from last year. Thank you for making a difference in the Comox Valley. Best wishes to this year's applicants, and I look forward to this year's announcement. I know it's been a difficult last couple of years for community organizations engaged in local services and in the midst of the pandemic and the ongoing effects of climate change and our reconciliation of historical wrongs in Canada's relationship to Indigenous peoples. Thanks again. Look forward to hearing the great results.
Thanks so much, Gord. I'm so happy that we're not in Ottawa right now, even though yesterday was a bit of a surprise. So next we have a short video from Ronna Ray Leonard, Member of the Legislative Assembly for Courtenay Comox.
Thank you so much for inviting me to your annual grant celebration. You know, I remember when I moved to the Valley in 1990, I was struck by how many local organizations work to make the world a better place, especially in our community. And they were from all walks of life and they were from all kinds of interests. And over the decades, I have watched them grow and mature, and very much thanks to the Comox Valley Community Foundation, who supported those organizations, helped guide them along the way, and given them the support that they need to be successful. And you have been so successful. It makes me very proud to be the member of the legislature representing Courtenay Comox, thanks to the good work that you do every day. And I especially want to say thank you to all the donors who know that it's safe and secure to give money to the Comox Valley Community Foundation, because it's going to go to deserving organizations who are working to make our place vital and healthy and grow in ways that are inclusive of everyone. Enjoy your celebrations, everyone.
Thank you. I'd now like to invite Mayor Vicki Brown from the Village of Cumberland to say a few words.
Hi, everybody. Well, those are tough words to follow, but I took a few minutes to look through the list of recipients for this year's grants, 49 different organizations, and almost $400,000 given out to nonprofits in our communities. And as I was going through the list of housing and food security and environment and mental health and reconciliation and arts and culture organizations and projects, I just felt immense gratitude for the work that that this sector does in our community. I spent almost 2 decades in the nonprofit sector, and I know that chasing money is one of the biggest things you do, and I know also that you are able to leverage any funding you get to build capacity in both in your organizations and in our community. And it is so important that the work you're doing. As a local government elected, we know that we can't fill all those gaps in social services, and we depend on organizations like yours to do that work. And really, it's just a powerhouse sector in the Comox Valley. And I think thanks to the foundation for their support for the sector, not just in granting, but the other supports that they offer in terms of development and capacity building. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who have done such amazing work in this very difficult time. You are much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicki. I concur and echo your statement about the powerhouse sector. It's pretty amazing that what is accomplished within our social impact sector. Next, we're going to play a short video from Mayor Nicole Minions from the town of Comox.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Minions, and I'm coming on behalf of the town of Comox as the mayor. And I want to send a hearty thank you and congratulations on behalf of our council for all of the recipients today at the grant celebration. Just to say thank you, and again, thank you for your dedication and your hard work on projects throughout our home community over the past year and many years. It sure takes a village to really, see the work that's happening in a variety of sectors across our community. So I'm sorry to be missing the call today, but look forward to seeing you all in future. And on behalf of our mayor and council, thank you so much for your ongoing work and dedication to making this valley and home such a beautiful place to work and live. And hope to see you out at an event soon. Enjoy the afternoon.
Thank you so much. And next, I'd like to invite Mayor Bob Wells from the City of Courtenay to say a few words.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for this. And I just want to acknowledge that I am speaking to you from the unceded territory of the Comox First Nation, the traditional keepers of our land. And when I look at the list of things that you guys do, and really just even the headings, I'm often reminded that, in the political world, we have elections, but I see that as punctuation marks in terms of democracy, because the things that are happening every day are done by these amazing organizations. And when we talk about housing security and environmental conservation, food security, mental health and connection, arts and culture, Indigenous led and benefiting types of initiatives, that would have been on probably every politician's rat card during the last election. And so I think it really speaks to what people want to see. And I just, again, I'm totally amazed at the amount of impact that our community foundation has had since 1996 on our community, and really look forward to supporting it in the future.
Thank you so much, Mayor Wells. And thank you to MP Johns, MLA Leonard, and Mayors Brown, Minion, and Wells for joining us today. We're very pleased to have you. I would also like to welcome Councillors Wendy Moran, Melanie McCollum, and Will Cole Hamilton from the City of Courtenay. We're really pleased to have you here as well. I would like to acknowledge the many fund holders that we have, who together with families, businesses, and community organizations have made today possible through the establishment of community legacy funds with the Comox Valley Community Foundation. And I'd also like to express our appreciation and thanks to Vancouver Foundation. This is the 4th year that Vancouver Foundation has entrusted us to distribute the Robert and Florence Spielberg funds for child welfare, religious organizations, and medical research through our granting programs. It makes a huge difference to the amount of funds that we're able to invest in our community. And just last Friday, we received confirmation that we will be receiving funds for their 5th year, which will see an additional $340,000 available to support our granting programs next year, which is just a very, very huge number. So thank you to Vancouver Foundation. The Comox Valley Community Foundation has also been very fortunate to have many board members in the past and currently who have been so generous of their time and expertise, carefully stewarding the foundation and its resources since 1996. Joining us from our current slate of board of directors are Christine Halpern, President, Matt Beckett, past President, Judith Marriott, Frank Denton, and Ashley Hawker. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so glad that you could be here with us. I would now like to introduce Comox Valley Community Foundation President Christine Halpern, who will offer a welcome and remarks on behalf of the board.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I would also like to thank you personally for all that you do in support of our community. I'm just going to go off script for a quick second. Before I start my spiel, I'd like to offer up a challenge. As you can kind of guess, the word community is at the core of all that we do. I would like to challenge you to count the number of times I say the word community, and only me. At the end of the presentation today, I want you to please email your answer to the office, and I will donate $10 for every right answer to our community fund. So we're going to start now, and I'm now going back to the script. Last year, I spoke about how the pandemic afforded us the opportunity to rethink and transform how we support the community, specifically how we fund, what we fund, and how we support the 4 impact sector. That transformative work continues and is reflected in our granting program. We continue to shift decision-making and power to our community. We asked our community what the priorities are, and we built our granting program around those priorities. We increasingly ask community tables comprised of 4 impact organizations to make decisions as to how funds should be allocated. The work done by the Adults with Diverse Abilities Table, the Coalition to End Homelessness, and Environmental Table this past fall inspires us and reaffirms that this is the correct way forward. Laura McGrath from Courtenay Recreation's Adaptive and Inclusive Programs will share information about their programs and talk about the collaboration that is occurring between the organizations that serve adults with diverse abilities. A very happy outcome resulting from a community table. 3 years in, and we continue to see and feel the effects of the pandemic. Our granting program felt a little more normal this year. We were actually able to prioritize areas that we have not been able to support at the levels we would have liked over the past 2 years. And this included the environment and arts and culture. Megan Kersons from Cumberland Community Forest Society and Emma Walter from Hornby Island Arts Council will share with you information about their organizations and programming. However, we are still seeing enormous demand for funding to support basic needs such as food security, housing security, and supports for those who are homeless. You will hear from Louise Howes from the Head Injury Society about the programs they have put in place to support their clients with healthy food and housing supports. With respect to how we support the sector, we continue to partner with organizations such as the Comox Valley Community Health Network to offer professional development and training. And this year, we are pleased to administer the Government of Canada's Community Services Recovery Fund for the Comox Valley. The Recovery Fund is an opportunity for organizations to invest in themselves, to invest in processes and systems that aid in their recovery, and to invest in their own staff and volunteers. Susan and Sigourney are always available for conversation about the needs for your organization. This fiscal year will see the Comox Valley Community Foundation distributing close to $800,000 in the form of grants and scholarships, almost $400,000 today alone. We are very proud of this achievement, but we know more work and funding is needed. We also now hold over 16 million in assets on behalf of all residents of the Comox Valley, and this is a responsibility that we do take very seriously. Both are only possible because of the fund holders who chose to invest in their community through the Comox Valley Community Foundation, who chose to leave a legacy to our community and had confidence in our ability to guide and direct their gifts. Thank you. As we look ahead, we know that we will have to remain open to change. We must continue to be flexible, collaborative, and courageous. We must be more inclusive. We must continue to earn your trust, and above all else, we must take our direction from the community. So thank you for attending today to hear our story and to support our work and the work of the many 4 impact organizations in our community, making life better for everyone.
So I lost track of the number of times we talked about community. But as Christine mentioned, community really is at the center of everything we do, and it is the reason why we exist. So similar to the last few years, we're going to hear from a number of speakers. Christine told you who we're going to be hearing from during her words. They're going to share their stories and talk about the work they and their organizations are doing to enact change. The speakers represent the breadth of programming the Comox Valley Community Foundation supports through its grants, but not necessarily all. We wanted to share, educate a bit, and leave you feeling positive and hopeful about our collective future. There are a lot of good people doing incredibly good and valuable work in the Comox Valley. I would first like to welcome Laura McGrath from Comox Valley, from Courtenay Recreation's Adapted and Inclusive Programs.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura McGraw, and I'm here as the Adaptive and Inclusive Programming Supervisor with Courtenay Recreation. And I am just in this role just for this week. After this, I'll be moving to Vancouver. And yeah, it's been a dream working with this community and working with adaptive programs. It's been a dream job, but that's enough about me. Onto the real deal here. So yeah, we are so fortunate to have received funding through the Comox Valley Community Foundation's Adults with Diverse Abilities grant. We are honored to have received these funds with the support of like-minded community groups who all provide quality experiences for our community. So a bit about our program. On to the next slide. Our programs have been servicing the Comox Valley for about 35 years, and we strive on making recreation accessible for everyone by providing special programs for individuals with diverse abilities. We are also a resource for information on recreation and leisure, and support networking and advocacy around accessibility issues. This grant ensures that our core programming is affordable, sustainable, and enriching to participants of our programs. These include our art cards programs, bowling league, fitness classes, young adults club, sewing, bingos, dances, and special events. We provide a safe and supportive atmosphere for participants to get active and have fun. So some of our, if you could go to the previous slide, please. Some of our core programming it operates from CVCF's funding, and these include our active programs. An example is our bowling league, which has been running since the 1990s, and fitness classes like Tammy's Dance Party. That occurred today, and it turns our recreation center into a nightclub field in the daytime. The music's bumping, the crew is just getting a sweat on with huge smiles on their faces. They're exercising and not even knowing it. They're having so much fun. Sebastian's karate and archery classes have a dedicated group that attends every Friday. And the success of these programs are attributed to the energy and enthusiasm of our amazing staff like Tammy, Sebastian, and Sarah. Another example that of a program that receives the funding is our Art Cards program. This is a co-op program where participants come together every week, create beautiful cards that are sold throughout the Comox Valley. Last year, they earned close to $1,500, and all of that went back to the artists. Once it's divvied up, the amount of money each artist earns is not a lot, but it is extremely motivating. This is particularly motivating for individuals who struggle financially, and it's a very unique program that meets a very real need. Another one of the programs is our Young Adults Club, which started out in 2003 to help promote healthy choices and community-based activities like swimming, going to the movies and games night, and just coming together and having a really great time. Another emphasis on our programs are our special events. Our bingos sell out every time, they fill up with wait lists. And then of course our dances. So after a couple of years of what seemed like endless program cancellations and readjustments, we were finally able to come together for our first special event in 2 years, our St. Patrick's Day dance. It was a packed house of smiling faces with fiddle jam playing us jigs and reels to step to. And it was an amazing celebration that we were all doing after months of isolation. Our spring talent show as well had a great turnout with dance performances, joke telling, songs, and spoken words. Throughout this granting process, it was very unique. You know, it's not like a typical writing up a grant application and whatnot. It was excellent to come together and really share what our projects and goals are. And in this, we were able to form some partnerships and some collaboration. So something that we did was our outdoor skills program with Project Inclusion, where we spent a week at the Cumberland Lake Campground learning outdoor skills. So you can see on these pictures, we have Sebastian helping out set up tents. There's lots of treats with s'more making and geocaching there. So yeah, there's lots of arts and crafts, plenty of laughs. And though we opted out of fire building because it was the first heat wave of the summer, we escaped the heat and decided to get into the water as best we can, really put our sun safety skills to the test. And we learned how to kayak and paddleboard. So big thanks to the Cumberland Lake Society for the generosity, and thank you Project Inclusion for having us along. We had an absolute blast. I will plug here as well, Wendy has a really great video from this week. It's on the Comox Valley Project Inclusion Facebook page. I highly recommend following them. They have really great content that just warms your heart, and it's great to see what they're up to. So with this funding, yeah, we're able to continue offering these well-established programs that have been ongoing for decades for our growing community. We're so grateful to have the continued support from the Comox Valley Community Foundation, and it's been an absolute dream working with this community. I've cried enough today and this past week, so I'll leave it at that and turn off my camera before I start again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Laura, and thank you for all that you have done to cultivate access and belonging and create connection for citizens of all abilities in the Comox Valley. And we wish you the very best of luck when you're in your move. We will certainly miss you. You have been a shining light, so thank you. I would now like to welcome Megan Kersons from the Cumberland Community Forest Society to share information about their programming.
I am unmuted, but I do not see my presentation yet. There we go. There you go. Go ahead, Susan. Hi, all. Oh, I've got to start this. That's what's happening. I feel like all these in-person meetings, we're losing our Zoom charms. So hi, my name is Megan Kersons. I'm the Executive Director of the Cumberland Community Forest Society. I'm going to speak specifically to the program that we've been supported with, but if you don't know about us, you can visit us at cumberlandforest.com, and our focus has been the purchase of privately owned forest lands surrounding the village of Cumberland and stewardship work since the year 2000. And we've been involved in purchasing over 545 acres of threatened forest lands to date. The project I'm here to tell you about today is called our Education and Outreach Project, which was funded last year by the Comox Valley Community Foundation and the Village. It was a COVID impacts project centered on the environment. We all know that during COVID, our schools, our preschools, programs were all told, get your kids outside. And so there were long parades of kids heading into the forest. Public visitation in our local parks, dog walkers, mountain bikers, hikers has been significant. It was a really important space where people found refuge and sanctuary in a really challenging time, but the cumulative human impacts were significant. So next slide. We decided to do a project where we were connecting with the education community to begin to address some of these human impacts. It included inventory, working directly with teachers and program leaders, and essentially establishing a baseline. You know, we're in a really growing community, and there's things that we take for granted or things that we may understand about conservation areas or environmentally sensitive areas, but we also have responsibility here as a community to onboard this rapidly growing community and help people to understand some of the amazing stuff that has happened to date. And so we wanted to explore human impacts hand in hand with the education community. Next slide. So our approach was to collect and review data from educators and program leaders. We want to build relationships between the Cumberland Forest Society and the folks that are out in the forest. And this involved, I like doing infographics with folks because I spend enough time in front of a computer. So this involved building sense of place, learning about ecosystems, exploring human impacts, orientation to a new collaborative trail policy, learning more about how maybe we share with nature, and building community together. Next slide. So sense of place is really, you know, starts with really helping our community to understand the Indigenous context of parklands and protected lands in this unceded territory that we are all doing our work in. And layered on that is the really intense settler history in Cumberland, mining, logging, that has really informed what that landscape looks like. The history of our organization and why these lands were purchased, why they were protected, the boundaries of the park, and some of the current policies in place. Because, you know, how many people go online and read the policies before you go into a park or recreation area? So we're being proactive. Carry on. Next one. We centered then on ecosystem health and helping our community to understand some of the really unique ecosystem attributes and species at risk, like the little tiny western toad there, or the little brown bats, or the incredible array of fungus that we find in the forest, and help to build connection to stewardship work happening. Next slide. We also really want to talk about human impacts, but not from a place of shaming, but rather building a culture of observation, presence, and awareness around the impacts that we have. And that was really critical because there are tensions that exist in our community and other recreation spaces around impacts. So we started to identify areas and really talk about why certain areas were looking more heavily impacted, honoring restoration work that was underway on the part of the village, and of course, you know, engaging in the never-ending conversation about how we deal with the presence of all the sweet little doggies in our community that everyone got during COVID. Next slide. So share the trails. It was a great opportunity for us to connect with education leaders around a new integrated trail management strategy developed in partnership with the Village of Cumberland. Teach them about nature trails, multi-use trails, and gravity trails. And all of this is about giving people a sense of safety and belonging in the forest for all users. You know, if you are moving slow on foot, a mountain bike might feel like it's coming pretty fast. If you're a mountain biker and you're coming down a hill pretty fast and somebody's wandering around looking up at this, you know, not paying attention to what's happening, that's not safe for a mountain biker. So there's a lot of like ways that we need to build a sense of presence and awareness with each other to keep these spaces safe and inclusive. Next one. And this is just some more of the share the trails etiquette that we're sharing within the community. And so we have some of these graphics, but we can keep going because I know I'll run out of time. So then it's about sharing the trail with nature. We've done a really good job, you know, as a community of really working towards how do we share the trail with diverse users? How does the And it was thinking about that human-centered use of the forest. You know, how do we interact with each other? But what we really feel like needs some more centering intention is how do we share these spaces with nature? Thinking about the forest as belonging to the community and nature, having awareness about the cycle of the seasons and biodiversity, ways that we leave space for nature to thrive. And a really exciting thing that happened during our participation in the environmental table with the Comox Valley Community Foundation was really exploring the ideas of shifting from human-centric interaction with the landscape to eco-centric or earth-centric connection. We're all part of that. We're connected to the ecology of the land, but when we hold the earth and biodiversity at the center, it kind of shifts how we approach our work. So all of this adds up to the idea of building community together, protecting the forests and ecosystems around us in a less a pedantic or instructive way, but more in a community building way. Knowledge is community building, being creative and playful helps with engagement, and kids in the education community are the best messengers. This is one of the kids we've got, Keep Cumberland Wild hashtag in the parade. So building community is a big part of who we are and how we do this work. Next slide. And a few more slides of oh, back up. A few more slides of folks party in the Cumberland Forest. We have the kids dressed up as the Western Toads. We now have officially 30 Western Toad costumes for little kids. Some other kids participating in Fungus Fest. There's Stuart Higgs, one of our educators with a group of kids at the trailhead. And then there's the Grunge Boot Fairies that are out there to tell you how to take care of the forest. They're punk rock, you better watch out. So our impacts is we've built relationship with educators. We were able to connect with over 400 students. We've ended up supporting municipal parks managed objectives. We're developing recommendations that are done by consensus instead of just sort of a singular consultant coming in, updating resources, identifying areas for outdoor learning, re-engaging with the school twice a year is the plan now and has been asked for, coming up with collaborative professional development opportunities, and in general, building these meaningful connections. Next slide. So what's next? So we're going to continue with the implementation of this project. We're really excited. There's potential, I missed something in the second bullet, of new linkages between the Forest Society, the school, and the village of Cumberland, specific to some restoration projects that may be mirrored in the Cumberland Forest and also at the school grounds. So kids get to see how we can be proactive about human impacts. And then the implementation of the new project we've been funded for. Next slide. So we're centering in now on our urban forest. So Cumberland's been known as the forest in the village. The village in the forest, and now we're going to talk about the forest in the village. There are incredible benefits to urban forests, and Cumberland benefits from also an excellent urban forest management strategy that is just right for connection and implementation. Next slide. So Forests in the Village is what we're going ahead with. This was funded through a very intensive trust-based granting process that we were part of, and was really exciting and really strengthened some connections in the environmental community. So just want to echo the last presenter. What we're attempting to do is support the implementation of the village's urban tree strategy and their 2030 targets. We do this through engaging the community and enhancing the urban forest canopy and biodiversity within the private lands or residential lands in the village. And in doing that, we're able to support our community and work together towards shared goals. And this is part of the spirit of how the Forest Society operates in Cumberland, which is creating impact through leveraging community engagement toward broader municipal goals. So the last project, you can see how we've been able to achieve that around sharing the park and relationship with the park. And in this case, the implementation of an urban tree strategy that, you know, government can't do this work alone. I think that we feel really strongly about the role of the nonprofit sector to meet local government and to leverage really powerful human and community relationships to get really good work done. Next slide. So on behalf of our board, we have a 13-member board of directors out here in Cumberland of wonderful folks who give up their time. Our volunteers, our community. We want to thank the Comox Valley Community Foundation for your innovation with granting, for your interest in the work that we're doing, and for your support for the environmental sector and for our organization. We are very appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Megan, for your commitment to collaboration, as well as your efforts to advance climate resilience and to promote sustainable lifestyles in our community and in my favorite I'm going to be biased. My favorite community in the Comox Valley is Cumberland, having born and raised there. So I didn't want to say that out loud, probably shouldn't have, but yes, the one closest to my heart. So next I'd like to welcome Emma Walter from the Hornby Island Arts Council, who's going to share some information about their organization and programming.
Hi, Susan and everyone. Thank you for having me. Can you see me? There we go. Sorry about that. Thanks so much for inviting me today to speak about Hornby Arts Indigenous Peoples Month program, which was funded generously by the Comox Valley Community Foundation. As we see arts in our community as a nexus of many different interests and a way for our community to come together on important community topics, our programs generally span many different topics and subject matters through the lens of the arts. And we also often collaborate with other organizations on island in order to leverage our limited capacity here, but also to bring attention to various subjects, not just the arts on the island here. So in general, I'll speak about Hornby Arts programs. We program throughout the year, not just the summer, for full-time residents as well as visitors through events and outreach programs, which includes education and workshop opportunities for all ages, artist support through our biannual studio tour. We have group exhibitions, solo exhibition assistance for on-island artists, and of course, promotional support for various groups that are coming to present here. So for all of these programs, we aim to integrate Indigenous presentations, Indigenous culture, and awareness of Indigenous culture in the Comox Valley region. So we have, on top of all of these programs, our Indigenous Connections programming, which has been growing steadily since before 2020 with the traditional feast program that was held here on island. Now, this particular program, Indigenous Peoples Month, began last year as a month-long takeover of June on Hornby Island to coincide with National Indigenous Peoples Day. This program encompassed 5 events and outreach programs that brought education on cultural safety and traditional plant medicine workshops. The singer-songwriter Kim Gucci to perform on island, whose work is an expression of Indigenous pride and a vision of reconciliation into the future. And also 2 screenings of the work of Harold Joe, a Cowichan filmmaker and gravedigger who participates in important archaeological repatriation projects across Vancouver Island. He spoke in partnership with Dr. Jesse Morin, who is a consultant for the Comox First Nation in repatriating ancestor projects. So with the success of that month-long presentation of different cultural aspects, we thought, okay, what can we bring for 2023 that's going to expand this program and bring not only more information, but maybe a diversity of topics to the island for our own expansion and reconciliation efforts. We asked really, how can other organizations be involved? How can we work together in the partnership work that we're already doing to improve and expand our reconciliation work? So it was actually through a previous partnership with the Hornby Festival Society and our Coast Salish Connections exhibition that this idea for the model of this program came through. What happened in that situation was we worked with the festival and Elder Barb White to create the Coast Salish Connections art exhibition. And with Elder Barb, the festival has continued to collect elder stories and create a multimedia exhibition during their programming in August. So with this idea, this simple idea of that we can bring together practitioners and local organizations through combined programming, we decided to expand that idea for our programming this year for Indigenous Peoples Month. So with the consent and guidance of Elder Barb, who's a Pentlatch descendant, Hornby Arts is leading the Indigenous Peoples Month Planning Committee with 3 other organizations on island at this point: Hornby Natural History, the Hornby Festival Society, and one more to be determined group, but probably looking at the Educational Society in order to really integrate youth and education for the month's programs. So the committee is forming in this next month, and we will be collecting together in order to bring our ideas, what we want to see as a community on the island, and also what the members of Comox and Pentlatch First Nations want to bring to the island and share with residents here. There's also opportunities, of course, for those of Indigenous descent on the island to explore their heritage and also share in the conversation of reconciliation in today's landscape. So as a committee, we'll participate in cultural safety training. We'll be working on building and understanding respectful models for collaboration with either presenters or community workers from Comox First Nation. And the plan will be then that each of our organizations will present a workshop or an event that is related to our mandates, and all supported through this grant process. The most significant part of the grant for us really is that it has allowed us to support the honoraria, travel and hospitality for elders and off-island cultural workers, as well as, of course, all the material costs for putting on these events. At this point, Elder Barb has, as I say, expressed her great excitement and enthusiasm for this program. And we're just really excited and so grateful to be able to run it in this way. As I say, we do have limited capacity here on the island, and this model of sharing the load in order to increase capacity, but also to increase the output for all island organizations and residents is really such an honor. And we can't wait to share news about the programs that get developed by our committee and by our collaborators from our Indigenous neighbors. So thanks again for inviting me. And I'm looking forward to bringing updates to the community fund about the specific events that will be happening in June.
Thanks so much, Emma. We so appreciate the work that you're doing to make arts and culture accessible and relevant, as well as your commitment to reconciliation. You talked a lot about like sharing the load and collaboration, and I think that's a word that you hear a lot in our sector, which from what I hear from colleagues across our nation makes our community, our valley, incredibly unique. The amount of collaboration that does occur between our organizations is something that we should be all incredibly proud of. So thank you very, very much. Next, I'd like to welcome Louise Howes of the Comox Valley Head Injury Society. Is Louise there?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Okay, thank you.
Should I just
Yeah,
go ahead?
You're good to go, Louise. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you very much, Susan, for the introduction and the opportunity to share a little bit about our organization and how the Community Foundation has supported our efforts. Next slide, please. For those that might not be familiar with our organization, I'll just share our mission. So the Comox Valley Head Injury Society provides programs and support services to acquired brain injury survivors, their families, and caregivers in the Comox Valley. We promote the health and well-being of our participants through advocacy, education, skill development, community reintegration, and we work to reduce incidences of brain injury in our community. We will be celebrating 30 years this year. Next slide, please. Some examples of the services that we offer include case management, counseling, a food program, a group wellness program, workshops, employment opportunities, support groups, community education and awareness, and most recently, housing supports. Next slide, please. Some examples of the acquired brain injury that we support include both traumatic brain injury and non-traumatic brain injury. These include things like a stroke, vehicle accidents, concussion, intimate partner violence, assaults, falls, sports injuries, shaken baby syndrome, brain tumors, aneurysm, and drug overdoses. Most of our clients are low-income, vulnerable people living with an invisible injury, collecting PWD, which is persons with a disability, and many are struggling with food and housing security. During the pandemic, the Comox Valley Community Foundation has been instrumental in supporting our food and housing programs so that we can provide much-needed supports to our clients. In regards to the food program, next slide, please. We have had to pivot our lunch program many times to meet health authority regulations and client needs. The funding from the Community Foundation allowed us to purchase containers and packaging for takeout meals, along with delivery of nutritious meals and lush good food boxes to low-income clients with transportation barriers, isolation, and food security concerns. When we started recovering from the pandemic and things started opening up a bit more, which this month will be a year to date, we were also able to start offering bi-monthly healthy dinners to clients to increase social, mental health, and food security needs. A very important and impactful part of this funding also allowed us to purchase local grocery gift cards so we could hand them out to the most vulnerable clients facing food security and healthy living challenges. This partial funding for our food program in our last fiscal year resulted in us offering the following statistics. So we served 1,073 lunches to 68 individuals. We served over 150 dinners to 113 individuals. We delivered 158 lush good food boxes to 12 individuals. We also delivered 160 lunches to 8 individuals, and we purchased 45 $50 grocery gift cards that we distributed to 31 individuals. Now, with skyrocketing food and supply costs, we are seeing an even more increased need and truly appreciate the support the Community Foundation has given us so we can continue to offer our food program to low-income, vulnerable people in the community. Next slide, please. Regarding housing, during the pandemic, we started to see the need for increased housing support within our client base. There were fewer and fewer affordable housing spaces available to people on low income who could not afford market rates, and there were long lists through BC Housing. Some of our clients were living on the streets or unhoused, living in their cars, etc. As we are a small organization, currently not in a financial position to purchase or maintain bricks and mortar housing, we knew we had to do something, but we weren't sure what. So when the Community Foundation brought forward the idea of funds to be vetted through the Homeless Coalition, and in turn the decision made to pivot a housing support fund to help with housing outside of bricks and mortar, we jumped at the chance to apply for this funding, and we're very happy to be successful in our application. Through the Comox Valley Community Foundation Housing Supports Funding, we were able to start by growing our team and hiring a very part-time housing coordinator. Since the funding started, we have been able to support 4 low-income brain injury survivors with monthly rent subsidies who were paying beyond 50% of their income to rent. So this way they could sustain housing, and we also had some allowances for temporary support, such as a sudden loss of a roommate. Without this funding, these people would likely be on the street, as receiving $375 a month for shelter allowance for people on disability definitely isn't enough to sustain housing. We have also assisted 12 individuals who were also low-income survivors with housing supports. These supports included things like we changed locks on doors and purchased outdoor lights for safety. We arranged for a sandy dump for a survivor who moved into a trailer, not realizing this would be an added expense. We helped 2 clients move physically, and with truck rental costs, we offered gas cards for warmth to an individual living in their vehicle during the coldest months. And we have assisted with utilities for clients in arrears with the threat of losing services. We have met with landlords, helped clients complete applications, and advocate on their behalf. We helped a client transition from supportive housing, where they did not feel comfortable or safe, into a new safe location and market housing, and another moved from a very unhealthy situation to a much healthier one. We have learned valuable lessons and things we sometimes can take for granted, like being able to rent a moving truck. But on low income, without a credit card, it isn't possible. And there are so many barriers that low income people face day to day. As one client shared with us, "You guys saved my life. Without the rent subsidies and housing supports, I would be in a very bad place." We are thankful to the Community Foundation, all the donors of the foundation, and the coalition for this seed funding, which allowed us to provide much needed housing supports services to those in need. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Louise, for your insights and for improving access to basic needs and offering help to those who are struggling. You are doing amazing work, so just thank you so much.
Thank you.
So thank you everyone for sharing this time with us. We've heard from 4 inspiring individuals and organizations about the work that they're doing in support of our community and our neighbors. These individuals are representative of the good work being done every day in our community. The need is always so much greater than the funds we have available. We were not able to fund over $280,000 for very worthy and deserving projects this year, and we're very sorry. We just didn't have enough money available to distribute and had to make some difficult decisions. And as we said earlier, there is much more work to be done, and that includes raising more funds to support all initiatives, which is our goal. But on the very positive side, we've put together a short slideshow highlighting the 49 organizations and projects that we are privileged to support, totaling more than $395,000. And today's 49 grants were also published in a cover wrap in today's Comox Valley Record. I'm not sure if anyone has seen that yet, but it should be the front page of today's record, talking about our granting program, as well as all of the grant recipients. So as an aside, the grant checks were mailed late last week, so you should be receiving yours shortly. I think they were popped in the mail on Thursday. So please enjoy this brief slideshow, after which Christine will rejoin us to say a few words to close.
Hello again, everyone. Wow, great presentations. Thank you so much. I just want to give a final thank you for attending this afternoon. We appreciate you spending the past hour and a bit with us. If you have any questions or wish further information about the Comox Valley Community Foundation, how you can give, or about our granting programs, please do not hesitate to reach out by phone at 250-338-8444 or by email at office@cvcfoundation.org. I can't end today without thanking our amazing staff. Thank you, Susan, Sigourney, Sarah, Jolene, and Miriam. They are exceptional in their roles, and their dedication to the work of the foundation is truly outstanding. And I would also like to offer congratulations to everyone for working to make life and lives better in the Comox Valley. It is an honor to be your partner in change. I want you all to have a wonderful rest of the day. Again, thank you for joining us. And a quick shout out to Wendy Hawksworth. Happy birthday. Thank you.